Dear volunteers, thank you for your contributions to the Hangzhou Asian Games. Today we are here in the Big Lotus, the main venue for the 19th Asian Games. We will see what useful skills are needed for the volunteers to address any emergency scenarios.
If you work outdoors, you need to guide the traffic if the vehicle unfortunately has a traffic accident. First, please make sure to take some pictures to keep a record, and then evacuate the vehicle from the site. Meanwhile, if the vehicle cannot be evacuated, you need to place a warning sign behind the vehicle as soon as possible to avoid secondary accidents. The volunteers working in the venues should firstly get familiar with the working environment. Please carefully identify the safety signs, exits and routes around you. So in this way, you are most likely to find the evacuation routes in case of emergencies. As a volunteer, you should secure your own safety first. In addition to the security staff and the head of the volunteer team, you should also keep in mind the following phone numbers. For example, 119 for emergency rescue, 110 for police, and 120 for medical service. Well, in case of accidents in your volunteer group, you should report to them first. Now, let's get to know the alarms at the venues. For example, this is the manual fire alarm switch. In case of smoke or fire in the venue, you can press the fire alarm button for help. You can always find fire extinguishers and fire hydrant around the fire alarm. Now let's review how to use the fire hydrant. Just connect the water hose with the nozzle, turn on the tap. Now you can extinguish the fire. Similarly, the extinguishers are easy to use. Just pull out the safety pin and also aim it at the source of the fire. But make sure your back is against the wind direction. Of course, if you don't have the confidence to cope with the emergency, you should inform the staff on site immediately or call 119 for help. If someone faints during your volunteer service, you want to see his or her situation. First, check carefully if there are dangerous items beside the person. If there is an electric shock, you should first cut off the power supply or remove the cable from the person using the insulator. When doing CPR, you should first tap the person gently or try to awaken him or her with a loud voice. If the person makes no response, dial 120 immediately and ask someone to get the AED as soon as possible. You should quickly check if the person is breathing. If no respiration is detected or dying sign occurs, please immediately place the person flat on a hard surface. Cross your hands to conduct extrathoracic compression vertically at the middle position between the two nipples of the person. Each compression depth is 5 to 6 centimeters, and the compression frequency is about 100 to 120 times per minute without stopping. In the first aid process, you are advised to set your mobile phones to hands-free mode so that professionals of the 120 First Aid Center can give you remote instructions.
The following emergencies might occur in your volunteer service. In this situation, you should first secure your own safety. You can hold the handrail or fixture with hands to balance yourself before guiding people's movement. You should move in the same direction of the crowd. Do not pick up items from the ground or try to put on your shoes because it might easily incur a stampede accident. If you are knocked onto the ground by accident, you can cuff the back of your neck with both hands. Protect your face with both arms. Bend your legs for knee protection and make your body bow-shaped to protect your abdomen.
As a volunteer, you may encounter many special circumstances in your volunteer service. For instance, you may view some violations, such as people smoking in the public areas. Well, as a volunteer, you should stop the person smoking. If the person is not cooperative enough, you should avoid the strife and tell the venue staff to deal with it. In the case of conflicts, volunteers should immediately tell the staff and other volunteers nearby to avoid dealing with the situation alone. Well, in the process of coping with the situation, you should try your best to keep video recordings to avoid the possible subsequent disputes. In addition, If you encounter suspicious packages and items during your volunteer service, don't try to open or fiddle with them. If you find someone looking suspicious, wandering around, or suspected of a crime, you should silently record their appearance and travel route and report to the on-site security staff or the head of your team. If there is no one who can help you at that time, you can call 110 for the police.
With perseverance, rapid response and hard work, behind each smiling face is the dedicated efforts of the volunteers. The success of the Hangzhou Asian Games cannot be achieved without the contributions of the volunteers. We wish your volunteer service for the Asian Games be successful. Hi!